Greetings, fellow humans. You know me as Iceman Caesar, and this is what's up in the world today. Thanks for coming along for the ride. Today is going to be the first video in this whole series, and we're going to be talking about pretty much how life works, the relationship between the physical body and the soul. So, it's some pretty heavy stuff. Gets some pretty intense. Maybe might seem kind of out there if you're not if you haven't totally believed in the soul or things like that yet, but it's the truth, and I'm just trying to spread it out there so people know exactly what's going on and how they can kind of help stay away from the worst version of themselves and be the best version of themselves. So, not going to waste any more time. Let's just get started. So, I'm going to start by just saying one of my favorite quotes. It's by C.S. Lewis, and the quote is that you do not have a soul, you are a soul, and you have a body. So the body that you have is the physical body. That's the what you can see and feel and touch. That's you. That's here on earth. And so this is you in the diagram, and the soul that you are kind of looks like it's surrounding you at all times like this. And the soul is who you truly are, and it is surrounding your physical body at all times. And there are three different planes of existence. We have the physical plane here on earth. We have the next plane, which is called the air, A-E-R. It's where the soul exists. And then we have a third plane, which is heaven, and that is where God and Jesus and all the angels and everybody in heaven, that's that plane. But there are three planes of existence. We got the physical plane here on earth for our body. We have a plane of existence in between heaven and earth. That is called the air, A-E-R, and that is where they say Satan is right now. And that is where they say the second coming will happen. That's where the final battle for all the souls will happen, and in the plane of existence called the air. But so I know it's kind of heavy, I know it's intense, but just so hope you're following along. We got your physical body here on earth. We got the soul surrounding you, which exists in the plane of existence called the air, and we're all trying to get to the plane of existence, paradise and heaven. So now, the thing that makes us who we are is consciousness, and our consciousness is what makes us human. It's what separates us from animals. Animals do not have consciousness. They don't have rational thought like us, and the consciousness is what it enables us to think, to feel, to love, to build, to have all kinds of emotions. And just the consciousness is where that all comes from. And our consciousness originates in our soul, and when we are born, and not any time before, not when we are conceived, not any time before, but when we are born, our consciousness transfers from our soul into our physical body and stays there until we die. And when we die, our consciousness transfers back from our physical body into our soul, and then we go from there. So consciousness is what makes us who we are, and that's where the word C.S. Lewis's quote, "You don't have a soul, you are a soul, you have a body." We started as a soul, that's where our consciousness was. Our consciousness transferred to our physical body when we were born, and it will transfer back after when we die. Now, there are ways to influence positively and negatively our thoughts and our feelings and our actions, and that is done through the soul. And how they are able to do that is what's best described as little connectors all over the soul. There's positive and there's negative. Now, depending on how you live your life, sometimes you can open up more positive, sometimes you'll open up more negative. Just kind of depends. But that's how it's best described. These little connectors on your soul, and the things that can connect to them to try and influence you are what would be best described as angels and demons. And obviously, angels are the good influences coming from God and Jesus. The demons are the bad, negative influences coming from Satan. And what they did, these angels and demons are all existing in the plane of existence called the air, A-E-R, and they are just kind of going around and their job is to try and attach to souls and either influence them positively or negatively. And so I'm just going to show you an example of a positive connection, because that's what we want to focus on. So let's say an angel sees a positive connection open. It will come and it will try and bridge that connection, and it will kind of look like that. So once the connection's open and the angel has been able to make it, they'll kind of set up a bridge. And once that bridge is set up, the angel can kind of then send in all the positive influences through the soul. It will go into the body, into the consciousness, into the head and the heart, and that's where our thought and our consciousness resides. And you've heard people say you can think with your head, you can think with your heart. You need both. You can't just have a brain and no heart. You can't have a heart and no brain. You have to have both. So consciousness resides in both, and that's where the influence. And the influence is just like sometimes when you're in a situation or going through things when you don't know how you got through them or you don't know how you did something, a lot of times it's this influence, and that manifests itself as strength in ourselves, and we can be able to get through things that we didn't think that we could. And it's just, that's the positive influence. But it works the same way for negative. If a demon sees a negative connection open, it will attach, create a bridge, and just send all the negative emotions and influences into your head and your heart. And that's where the thoughts come into play of, you're not good enough and you can't do. All the negative thoughts and influences come from Satan and the demons. No negative thoughts originate in your consciousness. It's all influenced from outside by the demons and Satan. So, and that's where when people say they're hearing voices, this is exactly what they're talking about. The demon has made a connection, and they are influencing, and those thoughts, negative thoughts, are the influence. It's like your own thoughts are always positive and good. So any negative thought you have is not your own. It is born of something else, of influence, and you just have to fight it and always just go back to the positive thoughts, because that is who you truly are. And any negative thought or anything bad thought is all coming from an outside influence. Now, they don't just have free reign on us. There is something we can do to battle against it, and that is through a connection to God and Jesus. Through God and Jesus, we obtain the armor of God, and the armor of God surrounds these negative connections, and then the demons and Satan are not able to make them. So they'll try to make a negative connection, but because of the armor of God, their negative influences will bounce right off, and they won't be able to get through to you, and you'll just have the positive thoughts, and those negative thoughts and influences won't be there, and it will let you be the best, have an opportunity to be the best version of yourself, to stay away from the worst version of yourself, and to make sure that when your consciousness transfers back to your soul and you get to the air, that you're not going to have to pay consequences for sin, because you're not going to have all that sin on your soul. You'll have done a lot of good deeds, a lot of good works, and through your faith and your love and your in helping others and trying to create a better world, you will keep yourself away from the consequences of sin. So I just wanted to give people a good idea of how this all works. I mean, if you don't know how it works, then sometimes you can't defend against it. If you don't know that the connection to Jesus and getting the armor of God is how you can stop these negative influences and thoughts and things like that, then you're not able to fight against them. But that's why I have problems when people ask me for advice, or if I want to help somebody that's depressed or something. If they don't have a connection to God and Jesus, I don't want to try and force it on them, but it really is the only way. It's like if you develop that connection, you will receive the armor of God. You can wear it, and you'll be able to be the best version of yourself. The negative influences can't bring you down, and you'll just be able to help us try and build the best possible version of this world. So I hope I've explained things properly. I'm definitely going to go into more detail about all this, but I just wanted to kind of present this in a way that just to give people an idea of what the relationship between the soul and the body is, and how we're influenced positively and negatively, and how we can fight against that. And I hope I explained it well enough for everybody to understand. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave a comment or get at me on Twitter at IcemanCaesar. And I love to get into discussions. I love God talk, and always appreciate the likes, comments, shares, and views, and just all the help you can give to try and spread the word. So thanks for coming along for the ride. We'll see you next time. Much love and God bless. Peace.